like that.
Richard, did you say
can you
there were
give me any examples?
Well, they're all pretty
Richard,
different.
Did you say there were bodily resurrection accounts before Christ?
Well, there are some, yes, but
like what?
There's a ton of resurrection accounts that clearly could not have been inspired by Christianity, for example, regardless of their date.
Well, if you want
a really comprehensive list of them,
well, just name one.
Comprehensive as I've been able to build.
No, what's a case? What's a case for a non-Christian God who is raised from the dead, and we know the text is pre-Christian?
Well, believed to have been raised from the dead.
But that's fine. What's a good pre-Christian example?
The first example, of course, is Salmoxis.
That's not. He never died, or Salmoxis never even died.
You got to remember that's the unbeliever's explanation. That's like taking.
That's what Herodotus said.
That's like taking Celsus against the Christians and taking his interpretation of what the Christians were.
No, Herodotus himself said he never died.
No. Yeah, Herodotus is the unbeliever. He's talking about a foreign religion. He's talking about the Thracian cult, and he's basically attacking the Thracian cult, or at least disparaging it by coming up with a rational explanation for what they believe.
Okay,
but no, if you want to talk about what the Thracians believe.
But let me read directly from Herodotus here. This is in History's book 4, verses 95, 96. He says, Salmoxis made a hall where he entertained and fed the leaders among his countrymen and taught them that neither he nor his guests nor any of their descendants would ever die, but that they would go to a place where they would live forever and have all good things. So according to what Herodotus is reporting, Salmoxis reported, Salmoxis was saying that he and his friends would never die. You don't have a death, you don't have a resurrection.
Which is typical.
Well, but he goes on to say, though, doesn't he say that they presumed he was dead when he disappeared, and then he came back and they presumed he'd been returned to life?
Well,
right? That's what they believe.
Who?
The Thracians. I mean, Herodotus and the Greeks had their own little snide rationalistic explanation about this trick he pulled. But
there he's saying
the Thracians didn't believe that the trick was pulled on them. If they did, they wouldn't believe the story at all.
Okay, but he's saying that Salmoxis is telling their guests that they and their descendants will never die.
He's recounting their beliefs.
Well, yes, but he's also talking. I mean, that's the same Pythagorean view regarding the soul never die.
Well, that's correct.
He's not talking about your physical body that you have right now is never going to die.
I mean, Richard, that's typical. That's typical of the Greek mind of that time. But that's not bodily resurrection. In fact, I would argue it's neither resurrection nor bodily. It's neither one. I mean, the whole Tom Wright argument for 500 pages is that you find virtually no case or no case of bodily resurrection. Now, one of the objections is, au contraire, there's all kinds of cases of ghosts and disembodied whatevers. Well, sure, they believe that. But his point is...
we don't... Like I said, we could go forever on
this. But there's no case of bodily resurrection. No claim.
Go to Google and type in parentheses, was resurrection deemed impossible, with a question mark, and my name. And then you should come up with my fairly comprehensive list of all the bodily resurrection accounts. Not all of them predating Christianity, but even the ones that post-date Christianity are not inspired by Christianity.
Well, that's a good point. We would agree to that.
Anyway, I mean, that again is getting off, I think, on a whole other track of where I wanted to end up.
I guess the thing is, I asked you for a good example, and you said Herodotus. I said, and I'm quoting from Herodotus, and Herodotus saying that Salmoxis is telling his followers that they will never die. And if that's what Salmoxis is saying, it's not a resurrection.
You're not reading the next account, the next part where he's talking about how Salmoxis was presumed dead when he disappeared, and then he came back.
Right, but if I remember correctly, and it's probably been a couple of years since I've read this, Herodotus, the context that is, Herodotus is saying that when he came back, that's what the others were saying, that he had dug this hall, that they had been down in that hall for a while and had come up.
That's what the doubters were saying.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. You already explained that. Already.
You're acting like what Celsus said against the Christians is
not at all.
Authoritative.
Not at all, because what Herodotus is reporting there is that Salmoxis is saying they would not die, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and then they come back. Others were saying, no, they went down in that hall or whatever. So, yeah, they're the doubting ones.
Anyway, I don't think you're interpreting that correctly, but like I said, we could go on that forever. I mean, I'd like to get
to
History
4, 95, and 96,
yeah, we are,
so the listeners can look that up for themselves. Yeah.